Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Rose Kress, and I'm the owner and the director of the LifeForce Yoga Healing Institute. And thanks for joining me for this video on the most important and epic yoga pose out there. It's called Viparita Karani, which means reverse process. In English, we call it legs up the wall or legs in a chair. And before we get started, I'd love to share essential oil options for all of our postures and all of our practices. So my favorite oil for this is Zendocrine Blend from doTERRA. Grapefruit works really well. This is a posture about releasing what we call kapha, which is excess water and earth, and kind of balancing that energy. So these are really good oils for that. What you'll need for this practice, I'm going to actually demonstrate with a chair instead of the wall so that it's more accessible for folks. But you'll need a wall and a clear space around you. I've taken, it's kind of a gnarly, just metal chair, and I've covered it up with a blanket, partially because the metal can be cold, but also to make it look nice. And I've put a bolster, because I have one, on top of it so it gives a little bit of elevation. You could use two bolsters. You could use anything. A chair is recommended if you have mobility issues. It makes it easier to get the legs up. It's also recommended if you have knee issues, tight hamstrings, low back issues, tight low back. The other thing you'll want is a second blanket. I would use a beach towel for this kind of practice. Beach towels are nice and thick and fluffy, and I'll explain why you need this blanket hand. So I'm just getting a little bit on my fingertips. So the point that we want to come to is on the inside of the foot, you'll find your ankle bone, and there's a little spot right next to the ankle bone between the Achilles and the bone itself. This is Gulpa, is the Marma point. It's also related to kidney 4 acupressure point. And you're going to take your fingers, and I'm just kind of rubbing in a circular motion here. So however it works to reach this Marma point, this is said to release fluid retention in the lower legs. And that's part of what we're doing with Viparita Karani. This is also a really nice time to just massage the feet in general. And when we massage, we're sweeping from the toes and up the legs. So taking your blanket, your second blanket. So this is a yoga blanket. I've folded it into what amounts to a quarter. So this would be folded in half, and then folded in half, and then folded in half. And then I'm going to fold it in thirds. So I folded it one fold here, and then I'm going to fold it over again. So now I have a nice little elevation, and I'm going to set that right next to the mat so that it's in nice and close. So this is the mounting procedure. This is the hardest part of this posture. Especially if you're at the wall, if you've never done this pose before, using a chair, or you could use a couch or the ottoman or the edge of your bed, whatever works for you so that you can get your legs elevated is more than fine. Consider the wall to be the advanced practice. So you're going to scoot yourself as close. My butt cheek is touching the leg of the chair. And then in one smooth motion, I'm going to swing my legs up into the chair and my back down onto the floor. So I've brought my knees right to the edge of the bolster. I can rest my heels against the back of the chair, bring my legs wider. Now, you may feel like uncomfortable in the neck and that the neck needs a little bit of support. However, that is what the second blanket is for. So bringing that second blanket, I'm just pressing into the bolster with my legs and sliding that blanket underneath. Now, you'll notice that it's not quite under my cheeks, it's more under my sacrum, and I'm allowing my pelvis to tilt. So my pelvis is tilting in that direction, and that's how I'm maintaining the lumbar curvature, which helps to keep this posture safe for people with low back issues, herniations, bulging discs, and such. Then taking the head, bring the hands behind the head and just gently traction the neck to lower the head down. Hands can rest on the abdomen or out to the sides. And let's take 3 deep breaths here. And one more time. And let's adjust, another adjustment. We take the shoulder and roll it under a little bit. So I'm opening through the chest right here, and then taking the arms wider. So this wider positioning of the arms is opening through other marma points and acupressure points right here on the chest that help with more lymphatic circulation, but also lung circulation and release in Eastern medicine. So to support the initiation of that lymphatic release, just lengthening one leg and the other, opening through the backs of the legs. Now, if you were super open, you can simply rest with the legs up. It's a lot of work. Circle the ankles, point and flex the toes, and then release the legs. So Viparita Karani means reverse process. And it is the reverse process of the fluid flow in the body. It also reverses the process of the fluid flow of the moon or Chandra ambrosia energy, nectar, Amrita it's called in Sanskrit. That nectar, which is up in the head, is constantly dripping down, and it gets burned up by the body. And in this esoteric understanding of the body from yoga, that burning of that nectar is what ages us. However, when we invert like this, and it's a very simple inversion, it can be more complex with the hips resting in the hands and a higher elevation. The sun energy, which is right here in the abdomen, is above that moon energy, and it allows that energy to that nectar to flow back into the mind, where it can be used towards spiritual ends and spiritual gains. To the Ayurvedic understanding, which is yogic medicine, we are reversing the fluid flow process of ojas, which is equated to the lymphatic fluid. This ojas needs circulation and cleansing in the body, which happens when we invert like this or do deep breathing practices and all other yoga practices. But this one is supremely important. because it allows for that ojas collection in the abdomen and the lungs, and allows for the cleansing of it, but with the releasing of what's collected in that fluid. And the things that can collect in the fluid are the ama, which we call toxins, and ama is anything that's undigested. Food, experience, waste products, emotions, thoughts, interactions, etc. So really focus on taking deep breaths in and out here, knowing that with each exhale, these undigested particles are being released, because this does stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest process. You are starting to digest some of these things. Now we slide into the Western understanding, which is that lymphatic fluid, which is a vital part of the immune system. That lymphatic flow is reversed. And so it's now, that fluid can now be collecting in the abdomen. It can also be moving into the lungs, where it will be released. It comes in mostly through the left side here. The healthier your lymph is, the more it moves, the better it is able to fight off disease. Now, there is a belief that we are sitting in a soup of our waste products. Your cells, this part is true. Your cells release their waste products into the lymphatic fluid, which is then transitioned to the bloodstream, which then releases on an exhale. Now imagine if you're not breathing, if you're not moving, those waste products are not necessarily going to get to your bloodstream. This can be bad because it can lead to skin irritations. When the lymph in the brain is not released and cleansed, that can lead to anxiety, depression, insomnia, confusion, fatigue. And it is believed in Ayurveda that this soup of undigested stuff and garbage that we're sitting in prematurely ages us, or is responsible for the aging process. You may notice that your feet are starting to get a little cooler. If you really focus, you may even begin to feel the inklings of that waterfall of fluid moving from the legs down into the abdomen. Breathe. Maybe starting to get calmer, quieter, maybe even relaxed. Still taking those full deep breaths in and out. This practice is recommended for 20 minutes every day. That time between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock, which is known as the Vata time in Ayurveda, is when we can feel sluggish or tired. This practice can be a beautiful rejuvenative practice in the middle of the day. This has been recommended again and again by yogis as a daily practice, twice a day, 20 minutes for anybody who's going through any kind of disease treatment, illness, recovery. You'll know that your nervous system is beginning to transition into parasympathetic nervous system stimulation, or rest and digest, or calm brain, as your belly might start to gurgle. You may find yourself getting hungry here. Continue to take your full deep breaths in and out. Allowing for any minor adjustments. And let's take 6 more full deep breaths. So when you finish your 6th breath, please, no rushing. Start to bring some movement into the hands, the fingers, the wrists. You can rock the head from side to side, wiggling the toes, the feet, the legs. And then bring your knees in a little closer. This is just a nice release for the digestive system. And then pressing into the heels, lift the hips just enough so that you can pull that blanket out from underneath, or pillow, whatever you might be using. Rest the hips down. Again, you can release through the legs a little bit here, opening those hamstrings. And then bring the knees in, and whichever side you wish to roll to that side. And rest here for a moment. Give yourself a hug. And then use the support of your top arm, both arms, to press yourself up. So you're now, I don't know, probably 17 minutes younger than you should be. since we've been in that practice for about 17 minutes. I encourage you to practice this regularly. It's a really sweet pose, excellent for anybody who's does any kind of travel. So if you sit in the car a lot, if you're on your feet all day, if you're flying. So right now, the people that I'm thinking of that this would be great for is anybody working in grocery stores and pulling those long hours. Our truck drivers, our blessed truck drivers who are moving our food around right now when we're in a process of buying a lot of food, and also all of our healthcare workers. This is really great pose for anybody in the healthcare industry right now, nurses, doctors, CNAs, and anybody else, techs. So please share this widely with those folks that serve us. Also, do me a favor, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, you click the little bell next to it and it'll give you a ding when there's a new video. And thank you for joining me. Please have a blessed rest of your day. Thank you.